Hello, everyone. Chris, how do you say your last name? Gillette?
Gio.
Gio? That was
Gio.
so wrong.
It's spelled very French, so I say Gio like Rio with a G.
I love it. Gio. That's pretty.
Thank you. It's a married name, so
What was your maiden? Am I allowed to ask what your maiden name was?
Montemayor.
What? Why do you have like all the prettiest names? Say it again.
Montemayor. So it's like super Filipino last name. And so I think that sometimes when people meet me, they're surprised.
Because of your last name?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's interesting. I think that was me in high school too, because my maiden name was Garcia. And so, being in Southern California, like I'd roll up into like the counselor's office and they're like, Stephanie Garcia. And I'm like, oh, here, present. And they're like, what? Are you like I don't know, Pelayo or something? I mean, and then like my best friend was like a Rodriguez and we were both Filipino. And they're like, what is happening here? That was the thing. But that's cool. Yay! We already have our first viewer hanging out with us already on YouTube. It's Activate LA. Hey, you like show up all the time. I'm like so digging that right now. Yay! Chris, I've been playing around with Restream, so restreaming over to Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube. It's been good. I'm having fun with it.
That's what you're so good at, is using technology to make your life easier. I bow down.
You know what? It's funny because, and perfect timing too, because Mike Alton just jumped in. He says, hey, what's up? I consider myself like the lazy marketer, because I'm like, if I could find a button that just does it, like I will do that, right? Like my lights, I come into my studio, Chris, and I'm like, lights on, boom, like switch scenes, boom, If I could just go into like the master bedroom and like fix the bed, and like it just does it, I would freak out. I would love that.
So my version is, how do I take my lighting kit and just put the bulbs in my lamps? But for you, Stephanie, I've got my lighting kit.
I saw your behind the scenes on Instagram. I was like, dang, she got like the full lights, and that used to be me too. And believe me, my husband's already like, girl, our storage room, you have to do something about this. And I was like, but I never know if I'm gonna need it, right? Like even now, because clients are like, it's so hard to find a webcam. I was like, no, it's okay, because I've got the C920, the it's like all there, and I could get it. So it's been good. It's good. Shout out to Brigetti, Andre, Activate LA, and Mike that are here. You guys will get started in about a minute and 30 seconds. This is like the pre-show talk.
So actually, Stephanie, before I met you and was part of your mastermind, this whole thing used to be in my master bedroom, and I'd have to put it all up after we started our day and take it all down before bedtime. Put it up, take it down.
I remember that because I remember, gosh, why does it feel like it was so long? It was like maybe like 2-3 years ago, right? 2 years ago?
It's only two. Only two.
It's only two. And I think that's one of the things where I always tell people, your studio is always going to evolve. Like you never really start off with everything. You just kind of start building on it. It's like Legos for me. I'm like, oh, and then now I'm gonna add like the Frozen castle, and here's Elsa, and totally mom.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's good. So hey, if you guys are just tuning in, this is a new episode of Lights Camera Live. We're gonna be talking about going live on Instagram and tips and tricks for retailers. So if you're a merchant, if you're selling anything, this is the place to be, because Chris is absolutely crushing it. She's doing some really, really cool stuff. And if you haven't picked up on it so far, she and I, we've known each other for 2 years now. I've seen her evolution as far as like Facebook and podcasting, and now she's found like her groove with Instagram. And there are a lot of things, so many things that I'm learning from her, which I think is absolutely fun. So having said that, let me switch over the screens real quick. right, you guys. Yay! I'm just excited as you are. I saw all of like your pre-show like hype up, and I was like, yeah, look at that studio, so sick. The whole thing that you have behind you. What do you call it? Like the weaving thing behind you.
Oh yeah, this is like a knotted piece of textile art from Turkey. I love it.
I know. I'm just like, oh, I want that. All right, you guys. So, in this episode, we're going to be talking about going live on Instagram. And, like I mentioned before, Chris is doing some absolutely amazing stuff. Like, she is just crushing it. And when it comes to the work that she's doing, let me go ahead and just put her on the screen for you. And you could smile and you could say hi because Gabe is here for you, and Andre and Marissa. You guys, Chris is a retail expert. She's teaching independent retailers and makers on basically how to crush it. Just how to do well with online marketing. She has 23 years of experience. She's taught thousands and thousands of merchants on how to combine their industry strategies with emotional intelligence in order to remain compelling in an ever-changing market. Yes. See, I love it when guests, when you're reading their bios, they're like, yes, do it. Yes. Tell them all about the stuff that I've done. Because you know what? I feel like you should celebrate all of the hard work that you've been doing. And over 2 decades of being in this space, I bet that you've just seen the evolution of the industry, right? Like, what would you say was like the biggest, like, oh, hey, you guys got to jump on this now or you're going to be left behind?
When everyone started going tech forward and tech heavy, and all of the SaaS providers came out to leverage technology to help merchants sell their physical inventory. And I felt like the emotion and the real relationship was getting left behind. So I'm like, okay, I'm here for that. I can fill that space.
Oh, interesting. Well, good. I'm going to go ahead and move our little comments over here now because everyone is showing up. I love it when you guys show up. Ooh. Oh, speaking of which, let me go ahead and give a shout out over to Doc Boyd. For those of you that were enjoying the intro, Doc Boyd, he is like the man because he helped me out with that intro. We did some audiograms on top of that, and it's really fun because now I can like bring my guest into the show, and it's been really amazing. Definitely go ahead and check him out. So having said that, Chris, tell us a little bit about your background because I'm just like retail experience. Like, what does that mean? Like,
oh
what
my
does
gosh,
that mean? Because majority of my audience, they're mostly marketers. Right? And so how would you explain that in your own words?
The first job you have in high school, it's like falling in love with the first job you had in high school and trying to figure out how to keep that relationship exciting and new and sexy and productive and growing with it and helping it grow. That's my relationship with retail. Wow. And so I have this like really beautiful blend of experience from finding just the right products that customers are going to want to buy to getting really like thoughtful and analytical with negotiating pricing and just the right quantity and where it goes, to understanding from a brick and mortar perspective, what kind of hangers do customers want? Do they care if the cement is painted blue or not? And all in between there, I have developed this background and passion for learning and development. So I'm a practitioner. I do it. I learn from other people, and then I teach other people how to do it.
Oh, that is
so my
I'm already like you're the basically the mastermind that makes me want to buy stuff. You're like, oh, Stephanie likes this stuff. So I'm gonna sprinkle a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and I'm like, oh my god, take my money.
Wrap it up. That's like the dream of the phrase. Wrap it up, I'll take it.
Oh my god, that needs to be a book. That needs to be a podcast. Wrap it up, I'll take it.
Wrap it up, I'll take it. You were always full of good ideas.
But go ahead. Let them know about like all the magical stuff that you do because you're in the middle of it.
So I've moved around the country from West Coast to East Coast, Midwest, and back. And I've just always been very curious about the mechanics of how things work and why they work. And so I've done a lot of job hopping. I mean, I'm an entrepreneur at heart, even before I started my own business. I wanted to go broad with my knowledge. I wanted to go deep with my knowledge. And the one thing that I learned in all of this time working for large companies, startups, nonprofits that teach people how to start their own businesses is that there's actually no secret. There really is no secret formula. It's about finding the tools that are right for you right now and figuring out how to use that given all that you want to do and how you want to do it.
See,
There's no secret.
there's no, I feel like there is. I feel like it's about knowing color psychology and what copy is going to pop. And I I'm always the type where, like, when I'm walking through the malls, remember when we used to walk through the malls? Remember when that was a thing?
The rewind sound.
um, but I remember just like walking into a store, like a Neiman Marcus or a Nordstrom, and like, wow, just the experience of it. And you're just immersed in it. You're like, yes, I want to look like that. I want to smell like that. Like, what is all of this? And now I find that I try to bring that experience into the show. And that's why it was so much fun when I met you and knowing what you were doing, because when we were doing Lights Camera Live, like the mastermind together, and just seeing like the evolution from your master bedroom into like the living room and all of this stuff, it's been super cool. So if you guys are just tuning in, we're talking about retail trends. And usually, like even my clients right now, Chris, it's like Christmas in July. We're already planning like content calendars, where we're going to shift our budget, how we're going to promote that content. Amazon Live just dropped, and we're just like, woo! You and I were geeking out about it. We're like, let's think of all the ways that we can do this. And so you guys being here, we're going to be talking about going live on Instagram, because like I said, Chris is crushing it. But before we get into that, and P.S. by the way, you really, really want to pay attention to that, because she has this really cool Instagram hack that even had like me and Jen Herman, right? Jen Herman, author, Instagram for Dummies book. We were both like, wait, what? How did you do that? Oh, can you teach me? Right? I remember people in the group, in the 360 group, Chris, they were all like, do you have a tutorial for this? I was like, yes, Chris. Do you have a tutorial for this? But it's good. All right, so let's talk about when did you start live streaming? Was it, because it wasn't, you didn't start off with Instagram. You started off with Facebook, right?
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that.
I think I went from pre-recorded to live streaming in 2016. And I did it because I knew that I wanted to start putting content out there, just like elevating a whole community of small business owners. And the easiest way that I could think of doing that was to turn on a camera and just start teaching with an outline.
Ooh, yeah.
And I just wanted to use the built-in capabilities of Facebook and Facebook Live to give me a deadline, to hold me accountable. If I put it out there, I had to show up.
Yeah.
And then just to record it for me. That's really all I needed, was all of the capabilities, and I would just show up as me. And I would do it seasonally. Mm-hmm. Prepare for the holiday season, take a break. Prepare for spring, summer, take a break. Back to school, take a break. And I wasn't very consistent. I would just do these seasons. And around the time that I met you, I was pretty ready to elevate the way that I was showing up, elevate the way that I was teaching, because it's different to not have the in-person vibe. Mm-hmm. It's just different, and I didn't know how to do it as well. And it's been about 3+ years.
That's awesome.
It's crazy, actually, to me.
It is crazy to say it, because people, even when they ask me, like, Stephanie, how long have you been live streaming? I'm like, it's been 4 years. And I'm like, oh my God, has it really been 4 years? Like, how much money did I spend on gear?
Well, I feel like you know so much that you're synonymous with live streaming.
Thank you.
So what, is like live streaming only been around for 4 years? I don't know.
Oh my gosh, it's been around like forever. Like I have some friends that talk about, was it Babbel? they're gonna crucifix me for this. I think it's called Babbel. Or like they were doing Google Hangouts, but even then I wasn't hanging out and doing video then. I was working at the agency, and I was more like the conductor behind. I was like, okay, this is what we have to do from a marketing perspective. I was never like the diva in the front, like, ooh, let me do the commercials. Like that was never me. And so I embraced live streaming just because I had left the agency world and I needed to separate myself from everything else. Kind of like you in the retail space, is that you want to do something different. When everyone else is doing this, you're like, no, not today. I'm gonna do that. And then watch, they're all gonna follow me, and it makes it really cool and fun to do. Oh, Blab! They're all- Oh my god! Sorry, you don't see it, Chris, but all the comments are like Blab, and I was like, I said Babble. That's how you know. I'm like, sorry, my bad, Blab friends. Like, there should be like a live streaming timeline of like, how old school are you with live streaming? Were you on like Google Hangouts? I mean, there's probably something like even way before that. Sorry, friends, I'm dying. I'm cracking up.
I used to send video emails like in 2014, 2015. That's how I got all my practice. Is I would just tell my clients and people that I worked with, my emails for the next 3 months are going to be video emails. I promise you they will be no longer than 10 minutes. And that's how I started.
Really? Wow. I don't think I've ever sent out a video email. Like, would you just upload a video to YouTube, make it private, and then that's what you did?
There's a defunct app called MailView,
Mailview. Okay.
and you would record it there, and in app you can send it as an email.
Got it. I love it. I'm I'm sorry. Okay, so what's really funny about an eCam is that you could see like the viewer count, and you could also see like the emojis. And the laugh emoji is cracking me up right now because they're like, it's Blab. Okay, sorry, friends. It's Blab. It's Blab. All right. So then you started doing some of the Facebook Live stuff, and then you shifted over into Instagram. Why did you do that? What was the reason for that?
Honestly, I was really inspired by your interview with Yifat.
Ooh.
Honestly.
Okay.
And I just happened to catch it. I was enthralled. I felt like I needed more upload megabits per second. I don't know why, like irrationally. I'm like, if I unlock more upload speed, I can interview.
Yeah.
And I had been wanting to interview. I was a little bit chicken of it. I was shy. Some of it had to do with commitment, mostly commitment. Like, do I want to commit to it? It's very different to have guests on than it is to show up as yourself.
Yeah.
So I decided I was going to launch into a series because COVID-19. I wanted to hear from creatives outside of the retail space. We needed to hear different voices. We just needed to take a step back and learn from other people that are also creative entrepreneurs. And so I was hosting my show via Switcher Studio, which is what I still use if I go onto YouTube or Facebook.
Yeah.
And I did my first one, fantastic. The second one, we kept dropping. And it was not stable. I couldn't figure out why. And we had already been 11 minutes into the interview. And real quick, I said to my guest, Jen, let's just take it over to Instagram Live. I know you can do interviews. Okay, I'll see you there.
Oh,
wow. And I threw my cell phone into my tripod. And I'm like, I'm going to find you. I'm just going to vamp until you show up. And then we just brought it over to Instagram. We got a whole new set of viewers, and it was fun. It was easy. It was light, and my audience enjoyed it even better.
Oh, it's so good. Yeah.
And so, yeah.
I love that because most people, when tech happens, right? I don't know about you, but I'm always like, dear tech gods. No one else jump on the Wi-Fi right now. This iPad, right? I love that you didn't quit, right? Because it's so easy to quit when you're live streaming and the little tech gremlins come out and they start to mess up your show, and then it messes with your mindset. But you're just like, no, we're gonna do this. Let's move it over to Instagram. And I think that's so smart because on an Instagram, when you go live, not only do your followers get notified that you're live streaming, but your guesses audience gets sorry, I said guesses, and I was like, oh, that sounds funny. Is that how you say that?
That's in my dictionary, so I knew exactly what you were talking about.
Okay, you guys, this is side note. I'm Filipino, and sometimes when I pronounce things, I pronounce it weird because that's how my mom taught me. Like, funny story, and we'll get back to the show, but funny story. So when I was growing up, and we would go to the commissary. We were in the military. And my mom would be like, go get some Colgate. Because to me, Colgate meant that's what you brush your teeth with. Okay, now I'm living in Japan, and we had to fill out this thing where it's like, oh, what do you brush your teeth with? And I wrote Colgate, and I got it wrong. And I was like, what do you mean? I was like, what do you mean that's wrong? I go to the bathroom, I get my toothbrush, I put Colgate. And they're like, no, it's called toothpaste. And I was like, what? Chris, this was probably like second grade. I was so mad at my mom. I was like, why are you not teaching me the right English words? So even me, I'm like, guesses? Is that a word? Yeah, whatever. Babble.
We have the same dictionary. I get it.
Good. All right, okay. And so let's talk about like this really cool thing that you're doing with Instagram Live, because when you had shared it in the group, I was like, how the hell did you do that? You guys, I don't know if you even have a picture of it, but basically what she did is like when you go live with a guest, right? Like at the top, it would be Chris and then it would be her guest. But when she was going live, you were like picture in picture with the title of your show. Okay, see, this is where I'm like full screen on Chris, and please explain. Go.
The evolution of this picture in picture using graphics. I was a huge skeptic around being able to teach educational content on Instagram Live, which is why I resisted it for so much. And I think I resist and villainize things that I am very insecure about, and I was insecure about going on Instagram. I'll just say that. You might be all about it, but I had this false belief that I needed to be an influencer rather than use my influence.
I don't go live on Instagram.
I was just very insecure about it.
Yeah.
And it took a tech push to get me on there. And just having live streamed for a few years and knowing that my value is in the asynchronous view. I knew that people were popping in and out and doing that more on Instagram than on Facebook. And I knew I needed some cues to prop them because I could use those cues through Switcher Studio or through, a third-party platform that actually lets me produce a show.
Yeah.
And so I needed to figure out how to hack the tools that are inside of Instagram to live produce a show. And the one thing I had at my disposal is their picture-in-picture function that they have when you're live.
Yeah.
And so for those of you that don't know, on your screen, I call it your remote control, on your screen, you'll see the little icon of your camera roll. And it allows you to pull up anything that is in your camera roll, whether it's a photo or a video. Mm-hmm. And so I just needed to figure out how to marry the very visual aspect of Instagram with the educational aspect of like propping up a learning environment. And so that's when I started to think through, how can I use my run of show? See, I know words.
Oh, okay. I totally had like the screen on you, and like you could see me in Skype because I'm like this, right? I'm like, oh. And then as soon as she said run of show, proud mom. Okay, she said it. What? Wait, I have an air horn. Okay, go on with your run of show. Go ahead.
I knew I could use my run of show and just like really hack through a produced show. And using that picture in picture was the most important feature for me to do that. And Instagram has had that feature for a while.
Yeah.
And it took me a while to figure out how to use it.
Yeah.
So when I have guests on, I can make sure that their responses are featured and that the question is available through copy on the screen. So the picture in picture, you can use whether you're streaming on your own or whether you have a guest.
Yeah.
And all it takes is just a little bit of testing to figure out how to orient your graphics. It doesn't take a lot.
No, like how did you figure that out though? Because you know me, I'm if I could template stuff, I will template everything. So how long did it take for you to figure it out? I'm assuming you didn't even go live. You were just, can you practice with your?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's practice. So I feel like if you're practicing, you need to know a few things about yourself. Are you like a renegade type of person where you just do it and I don't care? Like I am fine having a public learning curve.
Mm-hmm.
Not a lot of people are, right? So you're either a renegade or like you're a creative where you're like um,
You keep saying
testing.
renegade,
Like,
and I expect you to do like a TikTok dance right now. It's just
no dancing, just a little chair dancing, and that's about it.
okay, okay.
Or you're a creative where you want input from other people, or you're strategic,
Mm-hmm.
right? Where you're not going to do it until it's right.
Yeah,
I'm I when it comes to live streaming, I'm like fully a renegade. I will just try it and see what happens.
I love that.
And so I did a little bit of like screenshot, design, pull it in, and then I'm just a huge fan of the green room.
Mm.
So I created a couple of green room accounts.
Wait,
Yes!
wait,
Green
wait.
room account. I
No! Green screen. Okay, like my whole face is red. You don't see it because all of the light is blinding me. But damn, that is so smart. Okay, so you made it like these green screen accounts for you to practice in.
Yes. So I had remote camera one, remote camera two. I was trying to figure out how to plug in a USB mic into my phone, Ethernet into my phone. I mean, I was like trying to really push the capabilities.
Didn't at one point you had like a 20-foot like Ethernet cord that you had
Oh,
posted in the group, and I was like, "What is this?"
it's like, no, it's 150 feet. It is so long. It's just so long. And people are like, and I hear like adapter, 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 adapter.
Oh
I'm
my
trying to
gosh,
figure
that is
out like
hilarious.
what I could like hardwire all of my iPhones and all of my iPads now and like go on Instagram and like remote camera my life right now.
Yeah.
So that's how I practice is I created private accounts. And it allowed me to figure out based on my graphic, does it work?
Yeah.
Where's my guest in all of this? Am I cutting myself off in the graphic? And so it was a little bit of designing, importing, going live to no one.
Yeah. And so what I
And
just did right now, sorry to interrupt, but I just screen shared the image that you shared in the Lights Camera Live group where it shows the pip and the guest. And I wanted to share it because I feel like people have to visualize this to realize like, hey, this is pretty freaking badass. Because literally when you showed it to me, I was like, I have never seen anyone do this before. And I was like, Chris, you need to name this as a thing. This needs to be like the retail renegade picture in picture dance thing. I don't know.
okay, I'm going to name it challenge accepted. I will come back into the comments after once I have the right name.
Yes, yes, I love it. I love it. People are
And
asking, Chris, where do you get a green room account? So explain that to them for a second.
okay, I just create a new account. I keep it private. Seriously, create a new account, keep it private, name it so you know what cameras you're playing with. I literally named mine Retail Charm School Camera 1 and Retail Charm School Camera 2, and I kept them private.
Yeah.
And after I played with that and I secured those accounts, after 14 days, I was able to rename them because I didn't need them anymore. So one I actually use as my private challenge group where I
Oh,
run a
okay.
3-day challenge. That thing is amazing and off the hook too. You can actually run a challenge on Instagram. And then the other one I have for my ambassador
Mm.
because the challenge with going live on Instagram is you lose all of the analytics and you lose all of the comments live. So I'm over here hustling like a hustler does, and I'm taking roll. When I go live, I take roll. I
You take
write down
roll?
there.
Like, what
Heck
does that mean?
yeah.
That's like,
I
hey,
write down
Topo,
every
Stephanie's here.
yes, yes. Hey, Stephanie Lou. Hey, Mike Alton. Like, I will take roll and I DM every single person afterwards. And I
Oh,
say, thank you for joining me. So I will take the IG TV episode and attach it to a DM that says, hey, thanks for joining me. It means a lot to me. Thanks for
oh,
popping in. Here's the full episode. And so I repurpose those two green room, remote camera testing accounts.
You guys,
Once I
she
was
said
done.
repurpose, repurpose.
Work number 2.
My face like hurts from smiling so much. I'm so proud.
All I want is gold stars from Stephanie. That's
You
like all I could
are.
want. Right
You
now.
are. Like I see one of the things that I love to do for repurposing even just my interviews is I like to do what's called gift giving. And so I think you and I already have some good ones. It might be like the Colgate thing that we just talked about. Maybe I'll have like some little Colgates just pop up on the screen. But yeah, I think that's so clever. Everyone is just freaking out in the comments. They're saying Mike says that the naming convention is so smart, and I wanted to clarify that because the naming convention that you had for the green screen accounts, that's what you're naming, not the cameras in Switcher Studio, right?
Correct.
Okay, got it. And then Tim Stone says roll call exclamation point, which I think that's awesome. Because I know your brand so much because we had worked together. I'm thinking of like the marching band, like roll call. You get like this drum line going, right? And I'm like, look at her. She's like, okay, everyone, attention, roll call.
So Tim, like one of the things that you can do if you are going live and it's like a bigger audience or an audience you don't know as well, someone can manage that like ambassador account, because I renamed one of them Merchant Method Ambassador, and I actually have an ambassador commenting, typing, saying hi to people.
Yeah.
If I don't catch them on screen, popping in questions into the question function on like viewers' behalf.
Yeah.
So that it pulls up when I answer the question. And doing things on just like a webinar virtual assistant.
Wow.
Someone can manage that too when you're live.
Oh, I love that. I love that. So shout out to Tim Stone, who also says that he always DMs everyone who watches his live shows. And I'm sitting here like, where do you find the time? You know, because I'm here Instacarting groceries. You know, I love that. I love that. You guys, if you're just tuning in, we are here with Chris from Retail Charm School Merchant Method, and she's giving all of her tips about how she's leveraging Instagram Live from a retailer perspective and how it's working out for her. But what I'm already finding so fascinating is that you have this ambassador program already set up. How you're the renegade retailer. I'm going to hashtag that. Renegade retailer. I think that's just so brilliant. And there's just so many cool things that you're doing. So if you guys are tuning in, like, this is going to be a really, really fun show because it's not like your everyday marketers where you hear them and you're like, oh, how do you use it? That's interesting because, like I said, when Chris showed us, Jen and I, her picture-in-picture Instagram Live, it was completely like amazing. And as a matter of fact, this is kind of like how we felt. I'm like sitting there and I'm like, how did you do that? How did you measure that? How did you do all of that? And it was just so magical. And I absolutely loved it. All right, so I want to give a shout out to Olivia, who's saying, wow, that's amazing. Follow up, Chris. You've got that dedication. So you are amazing. Andre says that he loves these tips and he's going to utilize them tonight. Look at you already trailblazing. People want to be like Chris. Renegade Retail. No, seriously.
Renegade Retail.
Renegade Retail. It was like, here's a remix. Okay, I already have so many ideas for our 1 minute social media clips. It's going to be you and me like Renegade Retail. But before we dive into that, I want to give a quick shout out to the Restream crew because they are the reason that Lights Camera Live is on the air. That's why we have all of you tuning in on Facebook, on YouTube, and on LinkedIn. So let's go ahead and give them some love real quick. Let's go ahead and clip. Our bridge to live streaming across all platforms has arrived. Restream takes care of the bandwidth and processing so you can focus on getting maximum visibility on your favorite platforms. To learn more, head on over to restream.io. Oh, and you know what? P.S. by the way, you guys, if you wanted to give Restream a try, just go ahead and click on over to Restream/Hey Stephanie. All of that info is there right there for you. You get to start off with $10. And if you email support and say, hey, I know Stephanie Liu, then you're going to go ahead and get 2 weeks free on your trial. Pretty amazing. Pretty awesome. Just for you guys. Just for you guys. All right. So let's go ahead and talk about... So you're officially on Instagram Live. Like, that's your thing. That's your thing, and you're repurposing it. You're taking clips and you're putting it on the other green screen accounts, which I think is so smart. What are some other ways that you're keeping people engaged? Because one thing that you had mentioned, Chris, was people are dipping in and out, right? They're like, okay, I'm in the news feed. I'm gonna see what's up. But you keep their attention with the picture-in-picture on the Instagram Live, which I think is totally cool. What are some other things that you're doing that you're like, hey, this is a renegade retail thing?
So a lot of thinking through how to keep people engaged was trying to figure out how to play games and then trying to figure out how to infuse other things that are not static photos.
Yeah.
You're always talking about video, Stephanie, and I'm listening. And the fastest way that I figured out how to insert videos is by pulling GIFs. I say GIFs, y'all. Pulling GIFs out of the story feature and then downloading it to my camera roll. And so I can have quick, funny, just short 15-second visual pauses to get people refreshed. So that's one way. I love that. That's like a fast way to infuse video if you don't want to make video. Then the other thing I do is before I go live, I'm always curious about where people are at, how they're feeling about the topic, what they think. And so I'll use engagement tools and stories to poll or ask people for their opinion, to have them slide and let me know what's up. Yeah. And I show those results within my Instagram Live.
Okay, you're going to have to explain by they could slide, because the Filipino me was like, cha-cha slide.
Slide.
Slide to the left. Slide. Like, in Instagram world, what are you saying when you say slide?
I don't even know what they're called. I'm just telling you. In general, engagement tools allow you to ask a question and have your audience respond as if it was a thermometer, like a fundraising thermometer. So you can ask a general question like, how excited are you for tomorrow's episode? Someone can just decide on their own what increment of excited they are, either like all the way or just a little bit.
Yeah.
You can also create a graphic that invites people to stop at a certain point. I might say, like, how many years of experience do you have? 1, 5, 10, 15. They would stop at 1 or 5 or 10 or 15.
I've never heard of anyone using that before. I've actually took that little thermometer emoji slide thing, and I actually took like a picture of a wine glass, and I was like, how much wine should I have? And then you would use the slide. You'd be like, how much should I have? And everyone was like, all the way to the top. And I was like, that's who you know, who your friends are.
And so, I'll post those things and I'll get the results and I'll save them. And then I can pull them in. I'll either save them in my camera roll and I'll pull them in. That's like a quick way for me to hook the audience in, to say this. If you responded to my stories and you are in this, population of merchants, you're going to want to watch. And so I tend to share the results earlier in my intro. Yeah. And then I break up my regular content with these quick 15-second GIFs.
Got it. Okay, so Vanessa's asking, is that feature built into Instagram Live, or are you adding sliders with a plugin or something? So let her know how you make that happen.
Literally, y'all, everything I'm doing is native. Yeah. Which makes it like a painful and beautiful commitment. It's all native. But that's the nice thing about it too, is it ensures that anything I'm putting out on Instagram is unique to that audience. So that when I go back and sit in front of my control panel, I always call them control panels, and I produce a show.
Wait, I just love how when you were saying control panel, all of a sudden you're like, this is control panel. Like I was like, when you did that, instantly in my head I was like, okay, we are in Star Trek. We're like on deck right now because this is like the show and we're about to broadcast it.
Well, I tend to think of those as like highly produced shows.
Yeah.
On Instagram Live, I'm like hacking it in all way, shape, and form. But I was able to get there because I learned from you how to properly produce a live stream show.
Oh,
and so
thank you.
Yeah, I couldn't have made the transition with such success if I didn't actually know the fundamentals. For sure, I know that to be 100% true.
But
I'm
like, oh, I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna take myself off of the screen right now. I love what you do because again, you're taking your experience from the retail side and you're bringing it into online and you're bringing it onto a platform and you're doing it natively, which I think Instagram, hello, if you're looking for creators to feature, like feature Chris because she's using this stuff natively where I have like other people hitting me up in the DMs. They're like, hey, how can I use Ecamm with Instagram Live? I'm like, you can't. I mean, you can, but you don't want to. Right? It's like, you kind of don't want to. So if you guys have questions about other Instagram Live features, by all means, go ahead and drop them in the comments. In fact, Chris, can you just give them what your Instagram channel is right now?
Yes, at Merchant Method.
It's not Renegade Retail. Is that going to be a thing? No?
That's going to be a hashtag.
I'm just imagining you now going back to your designer and saying, we need a Renegade Retail hashtag. Please design that right now. I think that would be beautiful.
I will say, Stephanie, when we worked together to brand my live stream show, I really leaned into retail charm school and into this like academic feel. Oh, it's coming big. Yeah. Is that even a phrase? I just made it a phrase. It's coming big.
I am just like, wow, there are so many sound bites just taken out of context today that will just be so weird. Shout out to Mike Alton who says Instagram.com/merchant method. Thank you so much. Mike Alton is the best. So I want to give a shout out because there's one thing that I have to share with you guys too. So let's do that. All right, so we have a giveaway for Restream Pro. So everything that I'm doing right now, where you guys see me live streaming to all the different destinations, that is thanks to Restream. And if you want to get your hands on Restream Pro, then I've got a surprise for you. So Chris, give me 1 second. Let me show them some love. Here's the Restream giveaway. So go to lightscamera.live/Restream. And if you enter today's secret code, which is CHARM, you see that, Chris?
Yeah, I love it.
If you add in the secret code word CHARM, then you'll get, I think it's 5 extra entries today. And here's also the thing. This is something that I've been playing around with on Facebook. So if you are on Facebook on the main Stephanie Liu page, facebook.com/HeyStephanieLiu, and if you're watching this video right there, in the comments, I want you to test something out for me. I want you to write the word bonus. Because when you write the word bonus, RoboSteph is going to come out and give you some information on how you could earn additional entries into the Restream giveaway. Plus, you'll also learn about Video Script Maker, which I've been teasing out for weeks. If you don't know what that is, I'll tell you about that in just a little bit. But having said that, let's go back to Chris, because Chris, we've talked about different ways that you're keeping your audiences engaged, how you are the renegade retailer, you have green screen accounts, you have 150-foot Ethernet cord, which I don't know what you're doing. But what else are you experimenting with? Are there any new features in Instagram Live that's coming out that you're super duper excited about?
I wish that I could answer in the affirmative.
Yeah.
I feel like what I'm trying to do is create an ecosystem where I'm using stories and Instagram Live and IGTV together to increase my audience's, to make them more heightened and more invested in spending time with me. And so I leave little breadcrumbs around. So an example could be, there's a story template and I want you to fill it out. And once you complete the bingo square, bingo card, DM me and you get a prize. Tomorrow, my audience doesn't know this, but I'm announcing my June, I'm featuring June merchants, and it's going to be the one merchant that was most highly engaged throughout the month, and then the one new follower that was highly engaged as a new follower. And so I'm just trying to have it be fun and games.
Yeah, I'm
the
all about
world
the
is
gamification
hard.
too. Yeah,
Yes.
no, I'm all about that, which is why you see me like dropping secret codes everywhere. I'm like, digital confetti, here's the secret code. Go over here, watch the show, get a secret code.
Yeah. And so it's about using the features to gamify. And so I don't know that I know all the new things that are coming out with Instagram Live. I wish I did. That, to me, that's Jen Herman.
I know, Jen Herman.
Jen Herman.
We had this one
And I'm
joke.
eager.
We had this joke in the 360 marketing squad that we wanted to get like one of those candles that had like, Mary on there. And you would light the candle and you would pray to, but it would be like Jen Herman, because we're like, Instagram. I need to learn. I need the Instagram features, please. But yeah, it's good. Yeah, when I see you on Instagram and I see the cool stuff that you do, I can't help but stop and check in, because you're doing so many different fun things and you're just pushing the limits for it. And my question for you is like, well, how do you get all of this creativity? Like one of my good friends, Owen Video, he's really into like game shows, right? So he's like, the price is right, come on down. And he's like, you get ahead. And and like, and it's always interesting for me to find out how people find their inspiration. So for you, like, where are you finding inspiration for producing your show and getting your audience engaged?
For me, it goes back to how would I teach them? Like, how would I teach paying clients? And in the same way that I would teach paying clients is how I teach on Instagram Live. I just change the content. So it's the what and the why. And that's it. Because I don't want any surprises.
Yeah.
I am who I am. I'm not, manipulative enough to like be any different. I'm not like clever enough or strategic enough. It just is what it is.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's thinking through really from the bottom of my heart, and I'm not joking when I say it, we need small businesses to survive.
Yeah.
The world will be boring and a sad and an uninspired place if small retailers and makers and small batch manufacturers aren't around to inspire the big corporate retailers. I want that. I want to go out and see it. And so I feel like that drives me to try new things. And then I'm always listening, like I'm literally listening to you, Stephanie. I'm listening to the 360 Marketing Squad, and I'm just trying to figure out, what can I commit to?
Yeah.
How can I do it? And how can I engage a highly visual learner on a highly visual platform?
That's true. And I love that you know your platform, right? Because you know what is scroll stopping, you know what gets people to walk into the door, and you're translating that over into Instagram Live, which makes it so much fun. And so when you go live, is it regularly scheduled, or how often are you going live?
Girl, you taught me to be consistent. And it's basically been Tuesday at 10 since we started working together.
Wait, say it again. How often?
Weekly.
Oh, wow.
Weekly. And because I run Merchant Method seasonally, because we're a school, I want you to have summers off. I want you to have winter break. I want you to have spring break 2021. Yeah. I was quite seasonal with all of that. But I'm finding that a weekly tempo works just great. Yeah. And in order for me to be able to show up and do that, I've started bringing back the old school. So one of the old school things I'm bringing back is virtual co-working. It is a largely silent. It's the Pareto method. It's a 5-minute check-in, 20 minutes silent. Like you work on your thing, I'll give you countdowns, but if you pop on, you're going to see me doing this. I give you a 2-minute like warning. We check in. Like you can co-work on live stream.
Wait,
People
you were
are
doing that
excited.
via what?
Instagram Live.
You're
I'm co
you're co-working via Instagram Live?
Heck yeah. I want all of my clients to know that I'm with you. I
Yeah.
want to make them accountable. If you are watching my content and you need to implement, I am here for office hours. And it's pretty structured. I, over the course of an hour, I might be talking for 15 minutes total. But
Wow.
that's like the teacher in me. I'm like, hey, time to work.
Does that work on 5-year-olds too? Because I feel like whenever I try to do that, she's like, no, mom, not unless you give me like ice cream. And I'm like, oh.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to figure that out. I've got a 7 and a 12-year-old.
Girl, we try. But shout out to Nancy Lewis Hill who is tuning in and saying, ooh, on IG Live, sweet. I'm assuming that she's talking about the virtual co-working stuff because I I love that you're doing virtual co-working for your audience because even for me, like I find that I'm craving more connection these days. And you know me, I mostly go live only twice a month, and I'm starting to ramp things up because I'm like I only talk to my husband, which I love. I only talk to my 5-year-old, and so just being on the show and being able to talk to you and everyone else in the audience, it makes it a lot of fun. And so I've been playing around with Remo.co. Have you heard about that?
Yeah, I'm secretly, publicly obsessed. And I've not even been an experiencer of it, but the concept of it, I watched your live stream with Ray. Ray is his name, right? I watched your live stream and I was like, tell me more, tell me more.
No, it is so cool because I worked with Annette from Easel, and I was like, you can design the floor plan, and I was like, Annette, I want it to look like as if it were the beach. So can we get like a little bit of like beach chairs over there and a little bit of water? Ooh, and I love this sofa and this table, and we like had lamps, and so I have access to it, and it's something that maybe we could just do in the Lights Camera Live like paid group and just be like, hey, let's hang out, and just test it so you could see it because I want people to see it. I've also played around with it in the strategist group where I was like, hey, if we wanted to have, you could seat like, I think it was 4 people per table. If you have the higher plan, it's 8 people. But you could say like one table is going to talk about merchandising, and one table is going to talk about live streaming. One person's going to talk about Instagram at this table, and you could just, flip back to each one of those, and then you have that time to do it. But I love the fact that you're doing it with Instagram because again, here's what I love about Chris is that she's not like, I'm gonna use what I already have, and I'll figure it out. And if I can do it natively, then I'm gonna give that a shot. And so I think that's so so clever.
It's fun. And it's also been interesting for my community of merchants. Really quickly, the brick and mortar kind of community and retailers and makers went to live stream quickly on Instagram to inform their audience of what was happening, to ask for support, to sell.
Yeah.
But now that we've been in this state for several months, I can see where the opportunity is to totally change up how we're using video to sell, how we're using video to engage, to show our presence, and like as if we were in the store with customers.
Yeah.
It's ripe for opportunity, and I'm going renegade with it.
Oh,
I
Renegade
just did
Retail
that.
Tribe School. You just did that. I saw that. I saw that. You guys, if you're wondering, like, is this how we always are? I feel like it is. I feel like whenever you and I talk, Chris, we're just like, ooh, ideas. Pew, 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 pew. It's just like this idea, baby, that comes into fruition. And then we check and we're like, hey, did you do it? Yeah, I did it. This is how it came about. So if you guys are just tuning in, Chris is the founder of the Merchant Method and the Retail Charm School, which I absolutely love. Like, I would want that as like an enamel pin. and just be like, Retail Charm School. And you need to have like that intro, because I think that would be absolutely amazing. You guys, if you have any questions, or if you have like your very own tips on how you're using Instagram Live, please go ahead and share them. Chris, one last question for you would be, what are some trends that you're seeing that retailers are using for Instagram Live? Because in my head, I'm thinking the holidays are just around the corner. I'm thinking Small Business Saturday. Like, is that something that you're keeping under wraps? You're like, no, 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 no. This is like a secret renegade.
No, everyone needs to know these things that need to happen. I feel like the SaaS providers, they have that whole thing under control. There's so much information around how to create a safe ecosystem and meet customers where they're at. But all the cues that customers are used to having are going to be really different. They're just different.
Yeah.
And so much shopping is happening online. We can't suggestive sell in the store the way we used to, because the physical experience is gone. And so we need to now start to build up our framework of the fundamentals. I think retailers need to brush up on the fundamentals of things like having presence. Not presence like, oh, I'm going to open it, but like presence. Responding to mentions, having conversations with people, like actually getting social versus the one-way promotion.
Yeah.
Things like product knowledge, any kind of framework that would help you be successful on a sales floor. Everyone needs to be figuring out how to do that now in the feed, in stories, on video, to get people more highly invested in your brand experience that continues to evolve. So that when it comes to November, you can be like, yo, I have this thing for you.
I absolutely just love everything that you said, because I feel like you, Retail Charm School, Merchant Method can make like your own, from the sales floor to the suggestive selling of stories, translation guidebook. Like, if this is what you know, I wanted to see. Yes,
I have it.
Wait, you have it already?
Oh yeah, in 2015, I developed a training deck, like a card deck, called Retail Shift, and it's all about having success on the sales floor, and it's based on 8 pillars of successful selling in a brick and mortar space, and it's all based on role playing. Like, how do you role play so that small teams and small brands can bubble to the surface, how that framework gets embedded in their own experience with their own words, with their own values, but it's all within this framework. And I really challenged myself this year to think through, how can you take this framework that is very valid still and is what we need to have in order to have customers actually buy from us? How do you bring that into a digital space that is not just an e-commerce site, but in the way that we show up? So the one thing I noticed is that all of my creative merchants were really sad and complaining about not being with customers. And I'm like, y'all are hiding behind your screen and not actually engaging where they are. And your customers want you to pay attention to them online.
Yeah.
Pay attention to them online. And so like really using this framework as a lens to say, it's not all gone. We just need to think about it differently.
Oh, that is so smart. That is so smart. And shout out to Kelly Blackman, who is tuning in from LinkedIn, and he has a great comment, and I'll read it for you on the screen. So let me go ahead and switch this real quick. He says, how to bridge the gap with the customer base. Otherwise, retailers will try to connect via price, and that will fail a bunch. And absolutely agree. And here's another one from Vanessa Flores Salas. And she said, interesting, so true. Retailers need to start thinking of value-add social engagement strategies to implement for Q4 holiday shopping season. Yes.
Yes. And specifically for SMBs, I don't honestly, like, any people might and hate me for this. I honestly, you could have like 100 followers. You could have 2 hearts and 1 comment. Like, show up for the 1 comment. Always. Like, pour your heart into whoever shows up instead of being worried about who's not coming to the door or who's not coming to the party. It's just like street traffic. You can't control who comes into your store. You could be as attractive as you possibly can be, but like you're not going to ignore the one person who walks through your doors. So don't ignore your one person. Like that's what drives me. And all that stuff, for some reason, in a magical land, the math likes that behavior. The algorithm likes that behavior.
Oh.
And so if you just show up and you're present and you love up on the people who love you back, you become more attractive to people. It's kind of like you just become more attractive to people, I'll just say.
I mean, it's like the law of reciprocity, right? It's like if you show up for other people, then they'll show up for you. And I'll put my own lens on that from a live streaming perspective is that, you know, when I see Tim and when I see Marissa and when I see Mike Alton and you, when people go live and I'm like, oh, I'm going to be right there and I'm going to say hello, give you some props because you're doing it. And I find that when you show up for other people, they'll show up for you as well. Even if they don't need something from you right now, like they don't need to buy something from you right now. They might know someone who might need your services, your deck of cards and all of that fun stuff. And you just show up, and that's one of the best things that you can do right now. Mm-hmm. Yep. So let's see here. One thing that we're getting is from Vanessa Flores Salas. I love this. She says, preach.
Preach. I call it retail church. Sometimes I go off and I'm like, that was a retail church sermon.
That is. I just wanted, I was like, that is the best gift ever. She's like, retail church. Can you? Okay, stop. This is what I would love for you to do. There needs to be a Merchant Method Instagram live where you are doing like the church version of it. And you're just like, yes. And you're like just singing. You got like choir. And you're just like, yes, we're going to do this. And we're going to do these social selling strategies. Please, you guys, don't make that into a GIF. I will die. But this has been a ton of fun. And I know, man, like everything that you've been dropping, yes, it does feel like retail church and renegade retail, everything. You and I, like, we just have this word cloud of like what it is that you are going to create right now. And shout out to Deb Mitchell, who says, just show up. Yes, like Deb Mitchell, she is in charge of the Agora Pulse agency chat that just happened today. And, you know, you show up for your friends. And if Yvonne Hyman is going to be throwing it down on how to scale your agency, I'm going to be there. So Vanessa says, who's coming to retail church? That needs to be your tagline.
Yes, I love it. I'm writing it down because I'm a nerd.
Yeah, who's coming to retail church? Okay, I am. And I will like sashay and parade down and all that stuff. All right, Tim says, oh, this is sweet. Tim says, I was so excited when you showed up in Amy Iram's comments the other day, Stephanie Liu, Coaches Go Social. I was like, oh my God, it's Stephanie Liu. Oh my God, it's Tim Stott. Oh my God, it's Chris. You guys, this is exactly what Chris and I are talking about, like showing up for that one person. Because there's that law of reciprocity. If you show up for them, they get those happy brain chemicals. They want to do the same for you. It's not even like an exchange of money or anything. It's an exchange of energy. And I feel like that's something that we're all just trying to get these days is energy and love and connection. Because as my good friend Loria Petrucci always says, it's not about perfection. It's about connection. So
yeah,
who's coming to retail church? That needs to be, like, I'm already in my head. See, Chris and I are both, like, visual learners. And in my head right now, Chris, I'm already drawing, like, what would a retail church logo look like without making it so cheesy?
Okay, funny story. I bought a gown, as in a cap and gown,
Stop.
to take persona-driven photos. Mm-hmm. I'm like, oh, that could have been, like, my preaching gown. Yes. And I'm already seeing you like, yes, who's coming to church, you know, and then you do the slide. And then you're going to slide and you're going to let me know, like, how many years in retail have you been? Huh? What's your goal for the year? And like, yes. Yeah, this is a thing. This is probably like my favorite show so far.
because Deb is here,
so fun.
Vanessa's here, Tim's here, Chris is here. You guys are absolutely fun and amazing. All right. If there aren't any other questions about Instagram Live, because you know Chris and I are going to geek out even after this. Sorry, friends. But, you know, it's been an hour. If you have any other questions, you know, go ahead and drop them in the comments right now. But Chris, I'm going to give the stage over to you. Let them know about your quiz. Let them know about your podcast, all of that wonderful stuff.
All right. Hey, you know, I just want to tell you, it is such an honor for me to have you here. This whole experience, even though Stephanie and I are like going back and forth with each other, would not be the same without you. And so I want you to come with me on this journey of IG Live. I'm over at Merchant Method. And I mentioned it earlier, and I know it to be true. Like whether I learn from Stephanie or Mike or any one of these other amazing mentors that I bow down to all the time, I have to know that I need to implement in my style. Otherwise, it's not going to be successful for me. So I developed a retail success style quiz over at Merchant Method because you could be a renegade merchant in the way that I am on live stream, or you can be like a creative director where you're really thinking creatively big picture, or a strategist and calculated, and you can use all of these strategies that anyone is trying to teach you on how to show up on live video. So you just go over to merchantmethod.com and you will see Get Started, because I think that is the best way to get started, is to know yourself before you move forward.
Yes.
So that's how you find me, merchantmethod.com and all the places. And I live stream weekly on Tuesdays. In the summer school, 10 a.m. In the fall, we're going to switch it up. But
Tuesdays are the day for retail, church, and all of that. Like, I'm already super duper excited to see the parodies of this. Like, this needs to happen. And if you need me to, like, I have a green screen, you know, I have a green screen. If you need me to just like do something and send it over that you could just, you can impose in your video, then we can totally do that.
I like it.
Vanessa's asking Chris, she's asking, do you do any pop-up IG live sales? Do you do any sales for that?
I do. I have hosted for my clients our version of home shopping, where I am the host. I ask them about I do all that. Like I've done it through.
Wait. So do you have like a red carpet and you're like, and this is Chris from Merchant Method, and if this is who we have walking down the aisle, and welcome.
Oh,
What do you do?
no, it's almost like Home Shopping Network,
Okay.
where I am the host. I have the business owners. I ask them questions. I interview them. They tell story. They talk about product. I cut to the screen, the e-commerce site. I show customers how to search, how to navigate, how to buy it. We go back and forth. We banter. I talk about my favorite things. Like I literally run it like home shopping. That's how I do it. I've also supported organizations that host pop-ups and host markets to help them figure out how to really host that online. Whether it's using Instagram Live or Instagram Stories, we're seeing the different models emerge, and I'm starting to see what works and what doesn't.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think that when we look forward to October, November, December, organizations that do that, the way they're going to win is to elevate and provide content for their merchants and their retailers, and then serve up an elevated community of small businesses to their customers. Like that's how I think we're going to win.
I love that.
Oh, I just gave a smirk.
I get like all these good, like this is so much fun, Chris. I just love how creative you are. I love what you're doing for small businesses and for merchants. You're just incredibly creative. And so for those of you, you know, Vanessa, Tim, if you have clients that want to bring the retail experience online in a way that's different, please talk to Chris. She will take you to retail church. Okay. Call her. And Chris Calvert is saying, like the Home Shopping Network, where live sales pitch. You know, this is something that Chris and I were talking about, because for those of you that haven't heard, there's Amazon Live. And so you have these Amazon influencers who have access to go live on Amazon. And so if you have your own merchant store on there, if you're selling anything, any type of digital product or physical product, even with this, with Ecamm, I could connect via RTMP and broadcast. So everything that you're saying like right now, Chris, for your retail sale, you could do that on Amazon. And what's so cool is you could say, and this is the product, and this is the product, and they're just going to shop with you. And I'm like, I want to do that. I think it's going to be so much fun. And the great thing about it, Chris, is you can practice. So you don't actually have to go live. You don't need your green screen account. You don't need a green screen account. You could practice, and you could do your different overlays. Even in Switcher Studio, you could do your different overlays where maybe you want to drop like a promo code or whatever, but it makes it kind of fun. So
I have my homework already.
I know. And like even Vanessa, she's like, Amazon Live, what? Yes. Yes. Yeah, there's one of my good friends, Jim Fuse. He's doing a whole thing now where it's like shop with us, and he's just going to talk about like podcasting gear, and he's going to bring on a guest and they're going to talk about different tech gear, and as they're talking about the gear, troubleshooting, any of that stuff, he'll have the products right there, and so that helps him out from an Amazon influencer perspective, but it also drives up sales. So I'm excited to see how you're going to do that. You were the one where I was just like, oh, she could do something really cool with this.
Challenge accepted.
Challenge accepted. We've got Retail Church, we've got Retail Renegade hashtags to make. We're gonna do like our own sachet floor room experience, Amazon Live. All right, cool. All right, so no other questions so far. Again, if you guys want to find Chris, she's at Merchant Method on Instagram. One word. Tuesdays are the days when she goes live, right? I'm going to do something fun for the fall. Let me go ahead and actually, because I made a slide for you to show them your quiz. So
actually, in the fall, because of school, in my state, in Seattle, everything's remote learning. And so I've just had to acknowledge if I want to give it my all to my merchant community, that can't be while school's happening.
Oh.
So I'm just moving it to the afternoon. But that means I'm bringing back some old school things. Coaching with cocktails.
Coaching with cocktails. That's fun. That's fun.
Yeah.
I like that. All right. So if you guys want to take her 60-second quiz, go to lightscamera.live/Chris. And you'll have access over to that, and you can have fun with it. So having said that, Chris, this has been so much fun. I think you now have a bajillion hashtags. Even Chris Culvert over at LinkedIn is like Retail Church.
Thank you, Chris Culvert.
This is a thing. This is a thing. And I think even like your book could be, your floor plan and all this. It's just so many ideas.
This was so fun. And I always learn not one, not two, but like a handful of things from you, Stephanie. So I was like secretly taking notes.
Were you like,
This is how I take roll.
Are you taking roll right now? That's probably, this is what I want. Okay. Sorry, you guys. It's going to be, what I want to see, Chris, is you with like what do you call the drum people? And they're all, you're like, roll
the
call.
Drum line.
Yeah, you need to have a drum line of like you. Because in TikTok, there's like this filter where you can multiply yourself. And it needs to be you. It's like, drum roll. And you're like, and then everyone just pops up and like, here, present, yes. That needs to be a thing. This needs to be. See, even Vanessa says this totally needs to be a thing. This is a thing. We're all here for this. And you have to let us know. Like, you have to, like, come back and tell me, Chris, and be like, Stephanie, Retail Church is happening. And I'm like, yes! Like, I want to be there.
I will. See, this is why I like live streaming to begin with, because it holds me accountable to do the things I say I'm going to do.
Yes, because otherwise they'd be like, here's that clip where you said, and I'll even, like, fade it into the black where it's like, 1 week ago, she said this. All right, you have someone knocking on your door. So yeah, I was like, that was not me. That's not my kid. Is that your kid? All right, so let's roll the credits and then we'll end the show. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in. For those of you that are asking for links, I will hop in there and I will drop them for you. Chris Culver's already asking. It's lightscamera.live/Chris. Cool? All right, so let's roll the credits.
Thank you.
I know. This is going to be fun. So host, Stephanie Liu. Production designer, Stephanie Liu. Lighting, Stephanie Liu. Bye, everyone. Thank you so much for hanging out with us.